you'll get a good story out of it, at the very least, okay? Before we continue, I see you, so fix your posture, stop scrolling through the comments, and go get yourself a glass of water. I have half a gallon of water over here, and I'm pretty much more than halfway through, and it's not even 1 o'clock in the afternoon right now. So I think you need to just pause this real quick. Okay, don't go, no, I see. Pause the video, go get yourself a glass of water, sit down, because I'm about to take you to school. Okay. Oh man, where do I begin? So this video is more of a rant, or like a story time, I guess. Not even a rant, it's a mix of both, okay? I want to kind of use this experience that I had in 2020. I know we're in 2021, okay, but I kind of still feel like 2021 is just like an extended cut of 2020. And I'm just trying to make the most of it. You know, I'm just trying to thrive and not survive like it was last year. For those of you who don't know me, before I kick off, I just kind of want to let you, you know, share a few little fun facts about me before I start, so that way you kind of have an understanding as to who I am as a person. If you can't already tell right now, I am Indian Australian. My parents are Indian. I was born in India, but I grew up in Australia. So I have this beautiful photo behind me, nice and framed, of like, you know, Australia as a whole. It's like a really cute children's map that was framed as a present for me, as a Christmas present, and I absolutely love it. So this is gonna stay, so get used to it. That is, well, that's just there. Let's just Anyway, so I am Indian Australian. I am currently in the US. I am a creative soul, but I also work in tech, so that's an interesting mix. I enjoy a glass of wine, or 2 or 3 every other night, so there's nothing wrong with that. I am not an extrovert, but I'm not an introvert either. I'm somewhere in the middle, although I feel like with quarantine I've definitely become more introverted than extroverted. And last year I had a medical situation that honestly made me question and reevaluate a lot of my life choices. So before we go down that path, I'm just gonna hydrate, because, you know, it's gonna be a long story. Okay, so it was Sunday evening, December. Okay, give me a second. Wow, my brain, if you can just literally see it kind of struggle. It was actually not December, it was September of 2020. It was a Sunday evening. I had a wonderful dinner, a large dinner, you know, just like spaghetti, meatballs, just really full, really content, you know, binge watched my favorite TV show. I love The Mini Project. I love her as a writer, I love her as a director, and I definitely love Mindy Kaling's show, The Mini Project. So I binge watched that and I was feeling good. You know, I had a food baby going and I was like, yes, Sunday night, I'm about to just go piss and go to sleep. So that's what I was planning on doing. That was the plan, okay? Yeah. That was the plan. So I went in, you know, washed the dishes, you know, loaded the dishwasher, did my little bed, you know, sprayed little, like, you know, like sprayed some incense or something around the rooms. The room smelled good, and made my way to the bathroom, sat down to pee. Now TMI, okay, but I sat down to pee, but I don't know about you, but over the last year I've grown very in tune with my body. I've sort of learned to really understand my body, like really like there are certain symptoms, there are certain signs when I experience extreme fatigue, extreme stress, extreme anxiety, like my body has a way of telling me. And it took me around 26 years of existing on this planet to finally be able to understand what my body's been trying to tell me. So I sit down to pee, you know, just your casual, I need to move on from this. Anyway, so I'm sitting down to pee and I get this unfortunately familiar, but also familiar sensation, just a very familiar sensation that a lot of females, I believe, I do not know how many males experience this, but definitely a lot of females do. A lot of females experience at the beginning of a UTI, or the beginning symptoms of a UTI. So for those of you guys who do not know what a UTI is, if you are that like small percentage of females who have never experienced a UTI, I am so jealous. I do not wish any bad juju on you, and I pray for you and I hope you never get it, because it is freaking traumatic, you guys. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm gonna whip up my best friend Google, you know, WebMD, for those of you guys who can't see it. So that's what that looks like. So a UTI is a urinary tract infection. And let that sink, okay? A UTI is a urinary tract infection, and it can happen to females. Predominantly females are more prone to it than males. And the symptoms can vary from constant peeing to painful peeing to, you know, murky urine to like blood in urine, and just overall you feel like a turd for like, I don't know, a couple of hours, at least a couple of days until the antibiotics kick in. So unfortunately I was not, you know, UTIs have just decided, they just decide to hang around like a really bad boyfriend, like a really bad ex, you know, not boyfriend, like a really bad ex. Like you think they're gone and they've left, you know, you can finally move on with your life, and then they come back. I don't know why I'm prone to it. I've seen my gynecologist, I've seen multiple GPs, and they've just told me that, yeah, you know what, you can do a lot of things, even take certain precautions like peeing after sex, or drinking a bunch of cranberry juice, or eating probiotics, and you can do these things, but at the end of the day, if you're prone to UTIs, you still get UTIs. So that's what I was told. That was a cozy little fact. That made me feel very comforted. So unfortunately, no, I'm not new to UTIs. So I sat there and I felt that all too familiar sensation. I was like, oh my god, there it is. So I'm like, okay, I know what's happening. I know what I need to do. I need to nip this in the bud before this thing goes viral, you know what I mean? So I get on my laptop. Mind you, it is late at night at this point, okay? I decided to sleep late. I don't know why. Too much coffee. I don't know. Okay, couldn't sleep. So I was like, got my laptop, quick little, you know, logged into my like United Healthcare portal, got on the phone to the teledoc. I'm like, hey, listen mate, look, I'm in a lot of pain right now. I'm like 99.999% sure it's a UTI. I'm not a doctor obviously, but please try and understand where I'm coming from. Luckily, the woman or the doctor on, you know, the teledoc was a female, and we just had a moment of silence. She was like, oh no, oh honey, and I was like, yep, I'm glad you feel my pain. So she was just like, oh no, okay, yes, I got you. Like, here, let me prescribe you the most basic antibiotics, okay? And these antibiotics have worked for me in the past, mind you. So I was like, yes, thanks for hooking a girl up at like, I don't know, 11:30 at night, like almost close to 12, okay? And I'm just like, all right, thank you, thanks for hooking me up. I needed this. So she sends it to my 24-hour CVS. I managed to get there at like, you know, by like 12:30, and I go in there, and obviously it's pretty empty because it's late, it's a Sunday night, but there's like one person in there. Like I always find it's really interesting, because when you're at CVS at like odd hours, you always bump into interesting people, and that night I bumped into like a lady, another woman who was like clearly kind of doing a bit of like a trying to like, I don't know, like she was kind of going through like a morning after situation, because you know, she kind of was like in front of me and she ordered like a Plan B, and then like had like Gatorade and like chocolates and a box of, you know, box of condoms, and I was like, oh, okay, like I looked at her and I was like, it's okay, you know what, you do you, no judgment here. I'm here for like my UTI antibiotics, so just go ahead. So we just kind of gave each other the like the nod, you know, like, and then she went about her business. So I go up, grab my antibiotics, get home, you know, like literally just like scarf down some food, because you're not meant to, like, you know, they recommend you eat something before, so I just kind of scarfed down some biscuit or something, like a couple of biscuits, just like really shoved it down my mouth like very aggressively, and took the antibiotic and just kind of sat there and just, it's a waiting game after that, right? You can't, like with antibiotics, you can't just keep having them like Skittles. Like it's antibiotics, you take them like 2 or 3 times a day. So I'm like, okay, now I just have to ride it out for like 2 or 3 days, right? So there I am, like, you know, Monday morning comes around, obviously the peeing is still there, the pain is still there. It was very, very bad. It was very painful, you guys. It was so painful. Even thinking about it now, like, look, I have like PTSD, and I was like, it was just one of the worst UTIs I had. So anyway, there I am on, you know, Monday morning rolls around, I'm on my laptop, just doing my work, trying to like distract myself, really just kind of do everything I can to avoid thinking about this problem. So I go about my day, I have my, you know, 3 pills a day, go about like Tuesday, 3 pills a day, and I'm like monitoring my symptoms, and my symptoms just wouldn't get better. And I was like, this is not right. In fact, they got worse. And I've never had a UTI that's gotten that bad before. I've had UTIs before, unfortunately, but this just took on, it was just like a whole other creature, you know? I had a fever, I had chills, I had nausea. And honestly, if I wasn't like, thank God I wasn't sexually active, because I would have been like, ooh, do I need to be worried? Like, do I need to take a pregnancy test, something? But no. So it was just really concerning, because like the 2nd or 3rd day comes around and you're like, okay, well, this is meant to get better now, or at least, you know, slowly get better. My symptoms weren't getting better. In fact, they were getting worse. And I didn't even know things like nausea and, you know, like fever, like a low temperature, or like back pain, or sweats, or like even headaches were like symptoms of like a more complicated UTI. I didn't know that, okay? I never experienced it. So there I am, I'm like, okay, so Wednesday morning comes up and I'm like, this is some bullshit. So I'm like, no, I've been rigged. These are placebo pills. I don't know what the hell this is, but this is not it. So I was like, you know, kind of, you know, told my manager, I'm like, hey, look, not feeling too good, gonna pop by the doctor's. I'll, you know, just put my meetings on hold. I'll be back in a bit. So I went to the doctor, my nearest urgent care, and I was like, listen, man, lady, woman, health professional, please save me. Something's going on. I don't know what it is. This is not right. These pills clearly don't seem to be working. I don't know what's going on. Basically, it was a cry for help, right? And I was just very, very, very anxious and very like worked up. The thing with me is I have a natural tendency to get overly anxious. That's something I'm actively working on, but I went there and my usual primary care doctor was not there. Bless his heart. He was like on vacation or something. I don't know. He was taking a mini break, and I'm like, look, he was a good bloke, but he wasn't here. So I'm like, all right, I'll just take whoever's there. I need to get this thing looked at. So I go in there, and the lady doctor was like, look, honey, no, it's gonna take a little longer for the antibiotics to work. Like the nausea and stuff is just like your anxiety. And I'm like, okay, but what about the fever? And then they checked me, and I didn't have a fever at that point. I'm like, of course I don't have a fever right now. Like, of course, when they go to take my temperature, it is not there. Anyway, so I'm sitting there like, you know, trying not to panic and go down this rabbit hole, and she's just telling me I have extreme anxiety and trying to like prescribe me Zoloft. And I'm like, lady, look, I understand I have anxiety, but right now that is not the issue. I'm telling you it is something more. But like, what was I supposed to do? I was supposed to trust the health professional, right? I'm not a health professional. I got WebMD, and we all know how reliable this thing is. It's not, okay? So she was like, look, you're just really stressed out. Okay, give it like another day. I promise the antibiotics will start working. It's just taking a little longer to take effect. And I was like, okay, cool. We go back to my apartment, you know, like it's what, Wednesday morning. Wednesday goes around, Thursday goes around. Sort of getting a little better, not really. Friday comes about, and I was like, I had a lot of work. Like, it was just like I think I was so preoccupied, I just kept pushing my symptoms aside. Like, it was bad because I'd be working and I don't know, maybe have like a lot of water, or I'd have like, I don't know, bananas or something, or some kind of fruit, or even just food, and I'd be typing an email out, and next thing I know, I'm just like, I have like this this like sensation and this like absolute like need. My body's just like trying to reject all this food. Like, it's like, no, but like, girl, vomit it out. Like, you know, it's literally like no, it's not gonna stay. So, but I had so much work to do because I'd already taken time off, that I was like, oh my god, like I can't roll off this project right now, because it's too important. I basically kind of shoved my health aside a little bit, which was not good in hindsight, obviously. So I used that work to distract me. I'm sitting there. Friday, symptoms were sort of better, but they honestly weren't as good as they should have been. Like, it was basically like, yeah, like pretty much 5 days in, like my symptoms should have basically disappeared, right? And I was like, okay, cool, like this is not right. So Friday evening comes about, and I'm trying to distract myself because, you know, me trying to, it's very much like me to try and deflect or ignore issues, or at least it was like me. It's very unhealthy. But anyway, we go to the bar, or like an outdoor bar, and you know, we're having like a couple of drinks with a couple of mates. Not a couple of mates, like obviously it's like 2 of us, and we all in our COVID bubble, so it's not like we were, you know, hanging out and everything. But we kind of had like to-go drinks, and we were just kind of sitting down and talking, and then it just got really bad. Like, I was sitting there drinking, like, you know, having like an IPA, and I didn't even make it halfway through the freaking beer can before I had to go pee, and I was like, oh my god, it still hurts. I'm still like a little murky, like TMI, I'm sorry, it's just what it is, right? I was a little murky, and I was like, all right, I need to go to the doctor. I call up like my nearest urgent care, and they're all closed, so I'm like, okay, like what do? I need to see someone. So I called up all my urgent care, and they're like, no, we don't have anything right now. You can go to the hospital, and if it's, you know, they'll run a couple of tests on you, and we'll figure it out from there. And I was like, okay, well, it's not too bad right now. I found out, luckily, my primary care doctor was going to come back on Saturday. So I was just like, all right, you know what, I'll just wait it out. So I went through an absolutely torturous Friday night, right? Everyone's out there having the time of their life. Like, you know, nothing against them, but I'm just like sitting there at home with like a hot water bottle on my freaking uterus, and you know, just like drinking an unhealthy amount of cranberry juice, praying to like every single Hindu god out there for like a miracle, and just kind of helping me ride the night out. So Saturday morning comes around, I like call my primary care doctor. I'm like, hey mate, I'm glad you enjoyed your vacay or whatever, but I need you, you have my health records, you've had my health records since I moved here, something's not right, what do I do? He comes in, he makes me pee in a cup yet again, and they do a culture test, and he's like, so the wait time for a culture test, or for them to understand like what's going on with you, is around like 72 hours, right? So he could see I was in a lot of pain, and he could see that I was very uncomfortable, was in a lot of pain. So he's like, okay, well, while we're waiting for this culture to develop, I'm gonna put you on another antibiotic that I think, that I have a strong feeling may work, right? We have nothing to lose. Like, while you're waiting for your culture to develop, try this antibiotic. So this is my second type of antibiotic, mind you, and it was only 72 hours. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll do it. I don't have a choice. I'm just gonna do it. So over the weekend, you know, everyone's out there partying, living their, like, you know, living it up in quarantine, or doing the best they can to do it. I'm sitting there with like these fluky little antibiotics that I don't even know are gonna work or not. And Saturday, Sunday, nothing. Monday rolls around, and by then I remember waking up again, Sunday night, and then like Monday morning I remember waking up to this horrible pain to the right side of my belly button, just like the shooting pain just going up here. And I was like, oh my god, here we go, story time. I'm like, this is not right. I called my, you know, luckily my urogynecologist is like 24/7, and I was like, hey, something is not right, what do I do? So she's like, I got on the phone with her, and I was like, I told her these were the symptoms. I'm like, I still have a little bit of nausea, blah blah blah. I explained the entire scenario to her, and she's like, oh my god. She's like, okay, well, it sounds like you have a complicated UTI. What is a complicated UTI, you may ask, as if a UTI is not bad enough. So according to my best friend WebMD, you know, we're gonna do a little Google search over here. A complicated UTI is basically basically occurs in females who have had repeated infections, and sometimes a complicated UTI may get more serious and may travel up to your kidney, and also it gets harder to treat. Like, you can't just treat it with your standard over-the-counter antibiotics that they thought would have worked for me in the first round. A complicated UTI basically is harder to treat. Sometimes, you know, it does affect your kidney, and again, symptoms just can get a lot more painful. So not only was my my urine now, like, you know, literally looking like Moses in the Red Sea, I had a shooting pain just going from, like, you know, time and time from, like, the right side of, like, on the right side of my belly button, closer to, like, my kidney, or my urethra, not urethra, my kidney. And so I told her that, and she was just like, yeah, okay, you've definitely, it's just kind of getting worse. Like, we're just gonna have to, you know, as soon as the culture develops, sometime Monday, like, I will literally call you. So of course my camera decided to just shit itself and stop recording. Anyway, as I was saying, I basically had to wait for my culture to develop, and Monday rolls around, my doctor calls me, and she's like, hey, so funny story, that complicated UTI of yours just got a lot more complicated because your body is literally rejecting all the antibiotics that we've been trying to feed you, hence why they haven't been working. So the first round of antibiotics should have worked, but they didn't, because of the simple fact that my body was simply rejecting it. So now not only was my personality rejecting men, but my body was now rejecting these antibiotics that were supposed to, you know, kill this demon UTI that was clearly trying to, like, demolish me inside out. So Monday rolls around, they figure it out, you know, and they get me the right antibiotics, luckily. And I start taking them, and guess what? In less than 3 days, my symptoms are gone. Okay, my symptoms are gone. You know what that tells me? That the first time I went to the doctor, you know, the Monday or Tuesday Wednesday morning that I went to the doctor, and I was like, hey, something's not right. It wasn't my stress and my anxiety. It was me actually being able to self-diagnose myself better than, you know, some of the questionable health professionals out there. I'm kidding. No, sorry, please don't cancel me. I know how much effort the healthcare professionals go through, especially right now through this pandemic, and I have nothing but love, care, and support for you guys. You guys are wonderful, and you're doing a lot for the country and the world in general by, you know, putting yourself out there day in, day out to help us beat this pandemic. So anyway, that was a long story time. The main reason why I wanted to share all of this with you is but to give you context on everything that's been going on, and to just kind of give you a full visual of, like, you know, so you have a better understanding as to what I'd gone through, and then kind of go into, like, you know, the second part of this YouTube video, which are like some of the lessons that I learned. So what did I learn from this wonderful experience that I went through, and that I really hope that you never go through? Before I kind of drop, like, you know, little knowledge bombs on you guys, I just want to kind of knock off a myth. Drinking copious amounts of cranberry juice isn't gonna do shit. Trust me, as someone who is a member of the as someone who is a VIP of the UTI club, drinking copious amounts of cranberry juice may work for some people, but it may also not work for you. I'm one of those people who it does not work for. So going forward, I will only have cranberries in my vodka cranberry cocktails. Thank you. Moving on. As someone who is currently, and who currently is living abroad, I had to go through one of the worst kind of health conditions that I've had in a long time by myself. My family is in Australia. Yeah, good old Australia. I am pretty much literally halfway across the world by myself. So I had to go through all of this kind of by myself. I know it seems unfair that I'm saying by myself, because yes, I had family, yes, I had friends on FaceTime, but at the end of the day, physically they weren't here, right? Physically I was here by myself, and I had to take care of the symptoms. I had to take care of my mental health. I had to learn how to nurse myself. As a South Asian Australian, having immigrant parents, like, they obviously, parenting is something that you know, South Asian immigrant parents tend to kind of like overdo sometimes. Like, they don't do it out of, like, they're not doing it to hurt you or anything. It's just naturally, like, they tend to, you know, like, nurture you and take care of you, and that's amazing, but you don't really grow. You don't really learn how to take care of yourself as much as you should, because you're just constantly kind of kept in this warm, cozy cocoon. You're just constantly, like, you know, catered for to an extent. So I would like to say that I wasn't spoiled, but yes, I was. When it came to unconditional love and care, I was spoiled. So this was kind of the first time where I was A, halfway across the world, B, away from like an entire support system, and C, going through one of the worst health complications I've had in a long time. So I had to learn how to nurse myself. This was something that was kind of challenging for me, but I had to sort of, you know, just put my big girl panties on and just learn how to take care of myself. I realized that no amount of crying over FaceTime or, you know, crying over WhatsApp calls was going to do anything. I ultimately had to step up and do things for myself. So I started to, during that period where I was just going through that hell, that 1 week where, you know, they hadn't diagnosed it properly, and I was vomiting, I had a fever, I had like back pain, I had nausea, headaches, all of the symptoms, right? I had to really like be kinder to myself. I had to watch what I was telling myself. You know, I was more polite. I was just more gentle. You know, I basically kind of went through the effort of feeding my body food that it actually craved and wanted. So if I wanted just like a large chunk of dark chocolate, like I'd just eat it. I'm like, you know what? I don't have to beat myself over it. I don't have to beat myself over it. I can just eat it and not feel like I'm going to, you know, like just be kinder to myself, really. So I had to, you know, make sure I had enough water intake. I made sure I followed up on my doctor's appointments. You know, when I was working, because I was working during that horrible week, unfortunately. So even while I was working and I felt like a headache coming on, or I felt like, you know, the nausea coming up, I was just more kinder to myself. Lesson number 2. Dos. Ooh. I'm so proud of myself. I bet that little owl in Duolingo is really proud of me too, because, you know, Spanish has clearly been going well. All those 5-minute practice sessions that I've been having lately. Okay. Alright, so lesson number 2. This was a tough pill to swallow. But I also realized that throughout that entire process, I just realized how bad my anxiety had gotten. I've never been the kind of person, like, I don't know if it was just the fact that I was just ignorant of it, or if I just refused to accept that that's what it was. But during that week and a half, or however long it was that I was going through all of this, I was spiraling, you know, like, even after the 3rd dose of antibiotics. So the 3rd dose was a dose, just to recap, the 3rd dose were the set of antibiotics that actually worked for me. Even after that, you know, the 5 days of that set of antibiotics were done, I was still very anxious, or like very sort of like very wound up and sort of traumatized, even that it would just come back immediately. So like literally right after my 3rd dose, even towards the end of that, I'd keep checking, like, TMI again, but I'd just keep checking my pee to make sure that it didn't look that it looked healthy. I don't even how like I literally started to make up narratives in my mind where I was like, oh my god, like that looks very fluorescent. Oh, oh, that does not look bright enough. Or you know, like, is that a rainbow? I don't know. My mind was just so frazzled by everything because I wasn't taking care of myself properly mentally throughout that time, and just kind of leading up to it, that, you know, when I, you know, was inevitably sort of like, when that whole freak accident of this complicated UTI thing took place, I physically and mentally just couldn't handle it. And that kind of brought up a lot of my anxiety. It caused me to really sort of, you know, then break out into physical symptoms too. So a lot of like sweats, a lot of rapid heart rate, you know, like clammy fingers, like shortness of breath, and it was just all around horrible. So this sort of really forced me to it was a tough pill to swallow, right? Because it forced me to acknowledge that my anxiety was actually quite bad, and that I'd just been neglecting my mental health so much that now it had manifested into something more. And this issue, this complicated UTI, was just that thing that, you know, that caused me to, like, just a little nudge that I didn't know I needed, apparently, to pay attention to my mental health, which is very sad when you think about it. But, you know, it is what it is. So, you know, start meditating, kids. It's not a joke. Seriously, it's not a joke. It helps. It really does. But I'll save that for another story time. The third lesson that I learned, don't know why I just did the little countdown, that was weird. The third lesson that I learned, which kind of flows in from, you know, the second point, was it really sort of forced me to take and oh my god, who hurt me? It forced me to take inventory of my life as is. I was never the kind of person who's just, I guess, sat still and really reevaluated or evaluated if this is the life that I wanted. I'd worked so hard to get here, you know, to get to this point in my life where I refused to actually sit down and reevaluate if this is what I actually really wanted, if this was making me happy. When you get as sick as I did, or when you just get, you know, sick, period, your body just kind of slows down, everything slows down, you know, you're forced to really rest mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I was hurting a lot, and during that time of hurt and, you know, like the healing period, I was forced to kind of take inventory of my current life choices, of my current decisions, and if I was really happy, and if I was actually happy being here, you know, if working at the job that I was working at, if it was actually making me happy, or if I was feeling fulfilled. How was I actually feeling when I woke up every day? I'm not saying that when you wake up every day you're gonna feel like there's sunshine and unicorns and rainbows coming at your butt. Nothing like that should be coming at your butt, period. But it's just metaphorically, right? You know what I mean? But you should feel content. You need to feel happy. You need to feel like, okay, I made the right decision, and it aligns with my values, it aligns with my vision, and it aligns with where I want to go in the future. I was in strong denial simply because of the fact that I'd worked very hard to get here. I really did. It was not easy for me to get here, you know, working my way up the corporate ladder, if you will, you know, kind of going through engineering school, going through the whole tech consulting industry. Wasn't an easy path. I made some great relationships along the way, but it was no way, shape, or form was it easy. It forced me to really kind of sit back and be like, was living here in this environment, doing what I'm doing right now, was actually making me happy? Was it fulfilling me? And I was 50-50. I'm a 50-50 split. I still am. But the truth is, the point that I'm trying to get across is that it really forced me to reevaluate it. And I think it's sad, because a lot of the time we as humans, we don't tend to do that often, and we really should. So I guess as part of my, you know, as part of like my healing process, I decided to make it a point to really kind of every couple of weeks, if not every couple of months, kind of sit down and really take inventory of my life and where it was right now, and if it was actually leaving me feeling fulfilled and motivated. You don't always have to be happy, because you never will be. Like, I could be the most awesome job, like I could be doing YouTube for a living, okay, I could be doing this for a living, and there will be times when I will just feel like hurling my camera out the window, my laptop, you know, my neighbor's dog, I don't know, just everything. So you're not going to be happy all the time, and that's a fact, right? But you want to be content. You need to be content. You need to be able to sit down, look at yourself in the mirror, and be happy with the choices that you're making, because they're in alignment with your values and you know, your truer self, if you will, as corny as that sounds. And I don't think I was, or you know, it's definitely a 50-50 split, so it really forced me to do that. But at the end of all of this, though, on a happy note, I did recover. Just gonna have a moment, I'm just gonna celebrate that. It was honestly, it took close to 2 weeks for this entire fiasco thing to kind of like situation to wrap up, and by the end of it I was beat. But it honestly also forced me to make a lot of different like lifestyle choices, which I honestly never did before, and I never even considered before. So if you want to hear about that, or if anyone's interested in that, do reach out to me. You know, I will post my Instagram and my Twitter, you know, links below on this video. If you feel like this is something that you'd like to keep seeing, or you know, you want to get to know me better, hit subscribe, and I'll start to post videos a lot more regularly. I'm still not completely sure what direction this channel is going to go, and I'm sure as I continue to upload, I will get a better idea, you will get a better idea. But for now, I think I just want it to be a place, I want to create a place, an environment where you and I can just sit down and talk, you know, just share our thoughts, share what we're going through, and you know, just have a bit of fun, and just maybe learn a thing or two along the way. So that's what this is gonna be. I don't know where we're gonna go. There are a lot of big changes happening in my life right now. You know, the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, a lot of big changes going to be taking place, so I will definitely take you along on that journey. And until then, stay safe, stay positive, stay hydrated, and you know, I'll see you on the other side of this zombie apocalypse.